Hey guys, this is Lauren from Writer Reader Debater, and I am here with my first ever review! Yay! Okay, now before I move into my actual review, I am going to, let me clear some things up real quick. Now, I'm going to be doing two versions of this review, maybe not on this book specifically, but on some of the books. So the reviews on my YouTube channel will be called Rapid Fire Reviews, and this is just essentially where I review the book, like I normally would, like anyone normally would, talking about whether or not I liked it, what I did like, what I didn't like, the plot, things like that. And then on my blog, I'm going to be specifically talking about content and whether or not it was appropriate. Essentially, it's going to be called, they're like safety reviews, essentially. I just want to have a guide for both you guys and my viewers, or your parents if you guys are younger, to be able to go on and say, okay, well, here's the amount of sexual content, here's the amount of violence and language, and then you can decide based off of that if that's a book you would be okay with reading. I think that we have a serious lack of this. The few sites that we do have either over-dramatize the actual bad parts in it, or they underplay it, or they just don't pick out the things that us as readers actually want to know. So anyway, for this book I haven't done, and I probably won't be doing a cleanliness review. I don't even know what to call it on my blog, but let's go ahead and get into the review here. Now I'm going to be reviewing If I Stay by Gayle Forman. Let's start off with a brief synopsis. If I Stay is about a girl named Mia who is a cello player, and she and her family go off one day when school is canceled and they go on a car ride on a trip. Unfortunately, that trip doesn't turn out very good as they are hit by a car. All of the people in the car are killed except for Mia. Mia is then taken and rushed to the hospital, but this is where the main story starts to kick in. Now Mia is experiencing essentially an out-of-body experience. What is happening is she sees herself lying on the pavement, and this is kind of weird, obviously. And so she follows herself to the emergency room and then to the hospital where she stays permanently. The whole book is about her struggle with whether or not she stays here on Earth, especially after she finds out that every one of her family members is dead. At the very beginning of the book, there is a few slight gruesome details about the crash and about the injuries her father and her mother had received. But something that is interesting about this book is there are no chapters at all. What it is split into is present, where Mia is having her out-of-body experience and looking at herself, whether the doctors are operating her or family and friends are visiting or whatever. She kind of has that, there's that part of the book. And then the second part of the book is her flashbacks. There are a lot of times where she looks back onto the life that she had, and that's where we get a lot of the backstory, or the story that normally would happen. Now, I gave this book 2 stars. I was really looking forward to this book. I thought it was going to be such a good book, and I saw the movie trailer and was like, oh my gosh, I just have to read this. The premise is super interesting. The way she writes it, the way she formats the story is great, super unique, super interesting, but the story itself kind of fell short. My main problem with it is that I didn't feel attached to Mia at all. By the end of the book, I didn't care whether or not she stayed. And this was a huge problem for me because she is the main character, and this book doesn't have a lot of action in it. This book is based on eternal conflict, and the problem is that I didn't care about that eternal conflict. There was maybe one part where I kind of almost got a little teary, and I really wish that this would have been a huge impact novel. There were certain elements that I liked, certain parts that I liked, but overall I was really disappointed with the ending. Her boyfriend Alex, I can't decide whether or not I actually like him. In the book, you find out that Mia has accepted, or has been offered, a spot at Juilliard. She is a cellist, as I said at the very beginning of this video, but she has been accepted a place at Juilliard, and he doesn't want her to go. Now, to a certain extent, I can understand where he's coming from. It means that he, as an up-and-coming rock star, and she, off in a different state, going to Juilliard, they won't get to spend any time together, and the likelihood of them still staying together is pretty slim, I think, is where he's coming from, and I understand that. But at the same time, it's Juilliard, one of the most prestigious musical schools in existence, and he is so hesitant about letting her go. And I'll tell you something, and this is kind of, because I know the book and everything, but there's this one part in the movie trailer where Alex has taken the ceiling of Mia's bedroom and put panels to look like the audition rooms at Juilliard. And that's the vibe that I got. That's what I wanted Alex to be. I wanted Alex to say, okay, I want you to be with me forever, but this is the biggest opportunity. I'm going to do everything in my power to help you get this, to help you get it, and I am going to let you go, and I'll visit you, and it'll be great, and we'll have, you know, you'll have such a fun time. But he wasn't that in the book, and I was sorely, sorely disappointed with that. Maybe my expectations were too high with the movie trailer, and I didn't care about any of the characters. The only character I actually really liked was her grandfather, and there's this part in the book where he says that he wants her to stay, but he understands if she left. And I think that was my favorite part in the book, where he is sitting next to her bedside and he just says, look, a lot has happened. I understand if you don't want to stay. I understand if you don't want to come home with us. It's okay to go. And I feel almost at that point that she should have gone. She did end up staying, and so the second book, Where She Went, is all about that. And I heard that one is better, but honestly I don't really want to pick it up. From the sample chapter that's in the back of my book, it looks like it's laid out differently and that it's written a little bit differently, and that kind of bugs me because I really liked the way it was laid out. And as it is the first book, I kind of rely on that to gauge how the second one is going to be, what it's going to be like. Obviously they can't do the flashbacks because that doesn't really work, but I don't know if I will pick it up. If you were disappointed in If I Stay like I was and did read Where She Went, if you could just let me know down in the comments what you thought about Where She Went, whether or not I should pick it up, because at this point I'm not going to. Anyway, again, I gave this book 2 out of 5 stars. I was just sorely disappointed. I didn't care about the characters, and for an internal conflict based book, that is the most important thing that there is. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye!